Hello folks, we're here again. We're here to talk. We're here to talk about actually what is a gamer, and specifically what is a hardcore gamer. So I think a lot of people have either lost this moniker or forgotten what video gamers are or what they're about. And I think it's time that I explain what a video gamer is, and especially what a hardcore gamer is. So a video gamer is someone who enjoys tackling the mental challenges involved in a video game, and enjoys some sort of linear or non-linear progression scheme based off of those challenges. Now, a hardcore gamer is a little bit different. A hardcore gamer is someone who has devoted their life to video games or continues to devote their life to a single video game. And what do I mean by devote your life to it? So, my life is video games. Like, let's be clear here. No matter what, I was put on this world to play video games, to kill you in a video game. There is no greater joy in my life than killing you in the video game and taking your stuff. Sorry, but it is what it is. You might have things you enjoy, like seeing your newborn's face. You might have these great moments. Me, I have those moments when I steal your virtual pixels that are meaningless to me in a couple years after I've left the video game or moved on to the next big video game. That's just how I am. There is no greater joy in my life than seeing numbers go up, than trying to do things more efficiently, than speed running like in Classic WoW or whatever. This is who I am. And that's what a hardcore gamer is. I can and will sometimes play 20 hours a day for months on end, especially if I have a goal that I need to achieve or if I want a higher rank or something. I will put in more time. I will devote every fiber of my being to it. And at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter if I succeed or not. It's never about the goal. It's always been about the journey. And that's what defines, I think, both types of gamers, and what ties them together is video games have always been about the journey and not been about the goals, right? Because at the end of the day, what you do in a video game is meaningless. It's always been meaningless. Even the friends you make in video games are probably meaningless. Who knows how long they're going to continue? Like, especially, if we can learn anything from Makoto Shinkai's movies, for instance, distance is the enemy of virtually everything. Like, the further you are away, you are going to fray your relationships. You're going to be frayed apart, whether or not you want to or not. That's just how things are going to be. So, that's just what it is. It is what it is, right? And if you are willing to accept that, if you exist in a world where that is true, then by default, not even the friends you make along the way are all that important, but there's one person that's going to remember your journeys, remember your great falls, your great strengths, everything, and that's going to be you. And as a person, you need to take those specific moments and hold on to them, and especially as a gamer, because those are the actual rewards for what you do. Like, when I maxed my main on this bloody medieval click and point adventure, that was a really good feeling, and I didn't hold a party, I didn't care, I was in it to get my max on, and I did. I maxed the character, and then I completed the Inferno, and then that was that. And then, there was that pride thing that came through, and I was basically done with the game at that point. And I would just come back to start playing the Iron Meme, because I've forgiven them for that, because they haven't, incorporated into the game besides their one pride event. I can live with the one pride event a year, just because there's not many good options for video games to play right now. Like, if you're a gamer right now and you actually enjoy video games, there's only a few games you could even consider playing, like Path of Exile, like old school RuneScape. There's such a small subset of games, and the indie games, right? There's a ton of indie games you can play, but if you're someone that enjoys MMO, there's no real MMO for gamers anymore, even besides old school RuneScape, and that's a very depressing thing. Like, I will spend untold hours accomplishing a journey to get my, small dopamine fixes, and I will figure out a way, and usually figure out my own way, to go through and try and min-max all of these elements of it, and to make things as delicious to me as I can. Because there's, an almost audible sensation in it. Like, when I was working full-time, it's so easy in the real world, because no one thinks of it as a zero-sum PvP game, and there's very few people like that. It's so easy to backstab, cheat, and steal your way up to the top. And, I don't need to do that, because, flat out, if you're an actual video gamer or a NEET that hasn't encountered the real life, like you've never done real life stuff, if you just apply some basic video game concepts to real life, you're already leaps and tails and heads above people. Now, odds are they're going to have huge advantages over you just because they're more aesthetically pleasing. Like, the halo effect is real. The prettier of a person you are, the better you're going to get treated no matter what. So if you're some ugly slob, you have to just go in there and just prove you're better than everyone else. And that's not that difficult to do compared to most people. Like, in any tech job I've ever been at, most of it have been boomers that really didn't want to automate things because they needed something to, that they could spend a couple hours a day on wasting their time. When I walk in and I automate everything, when I revolutionize, when I write some simple tools, like I can spend like a couple of hours and revolutionize most of the businesses that I've worked at before, where I could tie everything together and just on a basic, fundamental understanding of when I understood their business model, I just wrote them and just sent them to the boss and say, hey, yeah, here's how this automates this job, have this person do something useful all day instead. Here's, something that ties together three of the, like, why are we looking through 8 different Excel spreadsheets to try and look something up? Like, here, this does it for us and like instantly, and here I've generated graphs too for you to send to your superiors about this X, Y, and Z. Yeah, you can pay me more now, And that's generally how it went. And just getting ahead of people like that, if you even use just a modicum of gamer sense, a modicum of efficiency that you would put into a video game thought, you're going to be leaps and heads and bounds against the other normies. And a lot of people will say that gamers have no ambition, that they don't have any useful value to society, and maybe not, but if you apply even just a modicum of this type of stuff you learn in video games and to the workplace, like, you can quite easily get to a position where you're working like 2 jobs more efficiently than the standard person does one, and then you can retire early, and then life is really good at that point. So consider it. It's worth a shot. If you're someone that's like a hardcore gamer that's never interacted with society before, like, I was stunned how incompetent the average even office worker is when I first started getting into the workplace after I had basically my employment history looks something like this. Like, in college, I paid my way through college by boosting in WoW Arena, and then I would do like freelance computer programming projects for funds all throughout my 20s into my early 30s, and then I didn't even step foot into an office job or a regular job until like 31 years old or something. And then I quickly dominated and retired. So all of that came from just an understanding of video games and applying that logic, because at heart, I am a gamer, period. And that's exactly what I am, and exactly what I do is play video games. So, even if you're like a point and click shooter gamer player, like, you can just apply your understanding of those skills to the real world, and you're going to be so far ahead of people. Because most people, they're attractive enough where they don't need to really think or do things. They've never been on a field that's an equal footing, right, and had to overcome bad odds. They've never played a chess match and had it mean everything and mean a lot to them, right? They wade through life, they marry at like some early age because they're aesthetically pleasing, and they just find someone that is tolerable and aesthetically pleasing back, and then they're done, and then they just exist through life without ever having to think or actually having to try much. So if you go in there and you actually try, you'll decimate most people. Like, and that's the sad truth of it, is like, as far as when I say try to, I don't mean like, yeah, I'll spend like 5 minutes here. I mean, you put your all into understanding things and working through it and just smashing things, and treat it like you would if this was like a competitive lobby for whatever game you play. And it's just so easy if you put into those frames. So I think it's quite sad that society sort of has this outcast towards gamers as well. Especially when I was growing up, there was this huge amount of hate that's always hit towards what a gamer is. And yeah, and we need to start making the industry reminding them who the people are that actually play their games are. We need to remind them what a real gamer is. A real gamer doesn't give a shit about how large the tits are on a wall somewhere. They're not offended by it. If they are, they're not a real gamer. A real gamer doesn't care about your diversity, equity, inclusion. Like, they never did. Gamergate happened for a reason, because that's what gamers are. Gamers, are free speech almost absolutists. They enjoy the Wild Wild West atmosphere. They enjoy seeing random things happen. They enjoy things going off the wall and off the rails, and that's what a real gamer is. And we exist in this, fully authentic, almost like a TV show of a society where you're not allowed to express yourself in that way. And video games, even playing a video game, can be an expression of art, right? And video games at their peak, when they're designed properly, are an art form. And embracing that dance and going through it is what makes a real gamer. And it's certainly not some soccer mom who has the game on the background while she does a tick-tick-tock dance to Billie Eilish, right? And going forward, it's time to remind the industry what a real gamer is. And so hopefully we get back to a point where we can actually start saying that, and where we can actually start acting in a way in accordance with what a real gamer is. Because it's old for me at this point. I just can't. So, you know, if you're a real gamer, like, remember your skills, analyze them, and then start thinking about how you can output them into the real world. Because at this point in time, man, you might need it going forward with the way the world's going to fall apart, because the amount of media out there that you can even consume and enjoy is so small. And that's all I have to say. Peace out, gamers. Rise up.